Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to draft a back yoke pattern for your pants. Alright, so here you can see I have a back pant traced off just a little below the crotch line. We don't need the whole thing. Here's center back, waistline, side seam. Okay, and usually yoke comes from side seam and kind of curves down and gets longer in the back, center back. All right, so the first thing I like to do is just kind of plot out my yoke, and I'll just do that by kind of freehanding it. So one thing a yoke does is it gets rid of the bulkiness of the darts. Okay, so anything that is above this line I'm drawing right here, okay, that will be the seam for my yoke. Any part of the dart from there up will get closed, okay? But we'll still have some dart left down here, okay? The dart we have left can be converted to ease if it's small enough, okay? So here's my dart tips, all right? And if I kind of go up from those dart tips, my dart gets wider and wider and wider, all right? Converting to ease, I don't think I'd want too much more than 1/4 of an inch for each dart, because that will leave a total of 1/2 inch of ease, which the seam is long enough where I could ease that in probably without any problem, okay? Once you start getting above 1/4 inch, you get this wider dart opening. It's harder to convert that to ease as you sew. It ends up being too much ease, okay? So something to keep in mind as you're drawing in your yoke is how much of the dart you're eating up. You want to hopefully not have any darts to sew if you're putting a yoke in there. So you want to make sure you're crossing through those dart openings in a sense, or through the dart in a place that makes the dart small enough, or totally eliminates the dart, but makes the dart small enough that you can just convert it to ease and not have to worry about sewing darts in the back where you'll have your yoke, okay? If you're really having issues, you could get rid of at least one of your darts by measuring your dart. For example, this is an inch dart. I could come in 1/2 inch here, come in 1/2 inch here, and I could reblend and reblend, and that would basically eliminate one of my darts too that way. All right, I'd still have another one. I just want to make sure my yoke crosses close enough to the dart tip so that it had small enough opening left that I can convert to ease. All right, so there's a couple things to consider. All right, so as I said, I like to kind of just freehand where I want that yoke to be. If I have a picture I'm working from, a design, then I'd look at the design and try to get that curve as close to that curve in the design. I think this looks pretty good. I think it will leave me with about 1/4 inch here and barely 1/8 right there. So those two darts that would be left, parts of those darts that would be left, would easily be converted to ease. And I like the way this curve looks. All right, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to use my ruler and I'm just going to true that curve. Just find the right curve that I like. Yes, definitely this way. All right, there's my yoke seam. Here's center back, here's side seam. That's my waist. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. This is going to become a working pattern. All right, there it is cut out. Now we want to eliminate our darts. That's very easy to do. Because these darts are straight, we can just basically close them. So I'm just going to grab some tape here. I'm going to cut up one of my dart legs. I'm going to cut through the whole thing. Doesn't matter which dart leg, just make sure it's dart leg. And then I'm going to bring that dart leg that I just cut through to the other one, closing out that dart. So it's basically gone now, or it is gone. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one as well. Close that. There we go. All right. I have a little bit of this dart seam allowance poking out the top. I'm just going to cut that seam allowance away a little bit. I mean, it's gone anyways, just so it doesn't mess up when I'm trying to transfer my working pattern. Okay. There we go. So here's the basis for my back yoke. It's my working pattern. Let's go ahead and trace that off and true it. All right, so I have a working pattern. I have a piece of paper to transfer it to. I'm going to start by putting down a placement line. This will eventually become center back. Let's place center back of the working pattern right on that placement line. So, and I'm going to pin this in place. And now I'm going to go ahead and just trace around this working pattern. There we go. All right. I'm going to mark, just in case I want this information later, I'm going to mark where my darts were. Let's transfer that through. Come in handy. These notches will probably line up with the notches on my waistband eventually. There we go. Okay. Here's center back. All right. So you can see it's a little bumpy down here. We're going to go ahead and smooth that out. And just kind of blend it all together nicely. Just find the curvature on your ruler that best fits what you traced off. Like so. Square out center back for a ½ inch. I don't want to point there. There we go. And then I have a notch here, a notch here, a notch there, and a notch there. Okay, center back. All right, we've trued it. That's what it looks like trued. We can go ahead and add ½ inch seam allowance all the way around. There we go. All right, so now I can cut this out. There's my yoke. All right. Now you can see, bring our pant back into it that we took it from. Okay, I have very little dart here. These darts are gone now. Okay, those are just converting to ease. And then we can walk out our yoke right along that line. And that basically lines up there, and then there'll be a little bit of ease. And then lines up with that dart, a little bit of ease. And we end up right back at center back. Okay, and you can also see that the fit that the darts gave us is now right here. That's what's creating our contour or our fit. Okay, and there we go. We've created a yoke for the back of our jeans. All right, I hope you find this useful, everyone. Good luck.